All right, folks, we are live, and the Bearcats are in trouble, to say the least. Let's reset you. There is 77 seconds to go, 1:17. And when John Rothstein said, get your triglycerin pills ready, he was not lying. Because the Bearcats have been in this type of situation every single game at Fifth Third Arena since Evansville. Every single one. Because BYU, the lone blowout, that was on the road. I guess Iowa State wasn't like this, but every other game has been like this. 74-71 Oklahoma State. Cowboys have the ball with 1:17 to go. Cats need to stop. Season is on the line. Ah, shit. You kidding me? Oh, that's a horrible omen. Cats are done, folks. If this is a sign, just spill it all over me. Not on the equipment, though. We're good. Yes, they do need to stop. All right. Cowboys, step back three, brick, rebound, Skillings, he lost it. On the ground, Lukosius gets on the floor. Did he get a timeout? Cincy gets their final timeout. 44.5 on the clock. Cincinnati's out of timeouts. Oklahoma State has 2 remaining. UC also has 2 fouls to give. I'll take it. 44.5 on the clock. Oklahoma State would be the dagger. For those of you that like the Cats but haven't really been following the numbers game as much, UC is kind of right on the bubble. One of the last teams out of the tournament right now, or first teams in the tournament if the season were to end today. Probably one of the last teams out. Oklahoma State is atrocious. They're net ranked number 111 in the country. West Virginia is like 140, so technically the West Virginia loss is worse, but that one was on the road, a little more expected. This would be another loss at Fifth Third Arena. When's the last time UC's won a game at Fifth Third? They lost to Iowa State. They lost to Houston. This would be at least 3 in a row. I'd have to check the schedule to see if there's more since the UCF loss. But this is at least 3 losses in a row if you can't take down Oklahoma State. And it would also mean that the Bearcats have still never won back-to-back games in both football or basketball in the Big 12. John Cunningham, hot seat? We'll talk about it in 30 seconds. Simas Lukosius. Good defense on him. Takes it baseline, gives it to Skillings. Skillings down low. Put it up! Lays it up and in. 27.1 to go. Cincinnati's within 1. Timeout Oklahoma State. All right, let's set up this shot to get the lucky Steve Logan jersey in the background. I don't know if I can even do it. All right, there we go. What do you say, Houdini? What do you say? Please tell me that by you sitting down, this doesn't mean I'm a minute behind on the stream and the game's over.
No, I got it up. I got it up my phone, finally functioning. I'm in the same boat. Oklahoma State timeout.
How many times have you hit the Bearcats live line in this one?
Twice. I'll be honest. It's been twice.
What are you sitting at right now? What plays do you need?
Listen, Chuck, let's not get into the semantics. I need UC just to win the damn game, okay? So
Fair
we'll
enough.
just hypothetically say I got a money line.
Easy enough. All right, 74-73, Oklahoma State's inbounding. Are we on the same page, Hudson?
Yep.
Are you in? All
It's
right,
probably
here we go.
like ESPN Plus just sucks, so we'll be like 10 seconds different no matter what we do.
Yeah. All right, UC fouls, 22.7 on the clock. They have 1 more to give. No, 2 more to give. That's team foul number 5. Is Oklahoma State just playing decent basketball, or have we looked awful? We'll get into it more on the postgame show, but, this is a team that just beat BYU.
Oklahoma State's been kind of good. Yeah, they've been sneaky. We certainly didn't do ourselves any favors, but they have not been bad.
They've been better, yeah. The last 4 or 5 games they played, they've been better, and they don't look awful tonight. But, yeah, the turnovers, There's 3 or 4 shots that Oklahoma State hit that were at the end of the shot clock that were just garbage that could be the deciding factor. UC missed some layups once again. CJ Frederick only got off 1 3. He missed it. I mean, all right. So Oklahoma State's going to the line with 19.6 to go. Cincy's going to have a shot regardless, but we may be going to overtime sitting here. And Houdini, you've talked about wanting to do stand-up for years down at Covington, Kentucky. You may get your chance.
This could be brutal. Let's see. We got 20 seconds. Yeah, you want me to give like a 3-minute?
No, I'm saying if we go to overtime. If we go to overtime, you got an extra 15 minutes. You can go with a little bit.
Yeah, I got some bits I need to workshop. I'm sure this is the exact crowd that wants to hear it.
Yeah, I could tell the story of I got a bit that I'm working on. You've heard it.
All right, he hit the first.
75-73 Oklahoma State, 19.6 to go. Wes Miller barking out instructions. He knows the season's on the line here. If the Cats lose, is there any way they can bounce back from this and make the tournament, or is it done?
3-point game. He hit both.
All right, here comes Day Thomas. 15 seconds. Thomas doesn't step back. Gets it from Reynolds. Top of the key. 3! Missed it. Missed it strong, and it tips in. How did that happen? Newman got a hand on it, tipped it in. 8.3 to go. Cincinnati's down 1. They have life. Oklahoma State gets it in the corner. Trap coming, and a foul right away. 7.5 ticks on the clock. Cincinnati's down 1. And it's single bonus here. It's single bonus. Oh, my God. Season on the line. ESPN Plus isn't working for me. This is just story of the season. Nitroglycerin, man. All right, we're back.
All right, Chuck, you got it? I was like, I'm
going
to take over as the broadcaster.
Javon Small at the line, shoots 86%, 2 of 2 in the game. His first one is up, and he got it. Hits the back of the rim and goes through. 77-75 Oklahoma State. Oh. This team's 11-14, 3-9, and they may come into Fifth Third Arena and leave nothing but a carcass on the floor. That would be it. Bearcats would be dead. Bagpipes are ready. 7.5 to go. Now Oklahoma State can talk about whether they want to foul here, do that game. If you're on Oklahoma State's sideline, what are you drawing up right here? I want to see how your coaching abilities is compared to the guy that's been there for 7 years, and I have no idea who he is. I've never heard of this coach in my life.
Well, if you're going to play the odds, I assume he's going to try to get them to, waste a few seconds and then foul. That's what I would do. Granted, you see, I think they've hit 1-3 the entire half. So maybe you just let them. Maybe the odds say just let them shoot it, because they may have a better chance of making one free throw and getting the rebound to tie it up. But yeah, I think they'll end up fouling here, especially since we don't have any timeouts. It puts us in a pretty tough spot. But this is why you can't be in this spot at this time. My God.
I have a lot to say, Hudson. A lot of people in the chat room aren't going to like it. You're not going to like it. Spicy takes incoming, but I got some stuff. Haven't seen Jizzle James in a while, have you?
No, we decided.
He was playing pretty well, was he not?
Putting on a show. Yeah, he was playing great. He had a couple freshman mistakes, but I think the whole team has the freshman mistakes, regardless of what year they are. There's still time, though. I got faith.
Oh, man, we're the glass gobblers, though. 32-25, Cincinnati is leading on the glass. They're going to win that statistic once again. 13 turnovers. Each team had 13. The difference is Oklahoma State shot it really well. Cincinnati shot it pretty well, too. Oklahoma State just shot it better. Here we go. 6 seconds to go. Day Thomas, Lukosius, and they foul Day Thomas with 4.2. So Day Thomas is going to the free throw line. Single bonus. You got to hit the first or it's 1,000% over. There's no given there that he's even going to hit the first one. I can't believe it, man. If you put money on the Bearcats minus 10 tonight, you're an idiot. You're an absolute idiot. Just quit gambling for the rest of your life.
Yeah, it almost seems so outrageous that it was like a trap that you had to take UC in this situation. All right, let's
I'm
see
not
if you
that
can knock,
dumb.
keep it interesting.
All right, Day at the free throw line. 79% on the season. It all comes down to this. Perfect swish. We're alive. Are we perfectly
Now it
synced
gets
up?
a little interesting.
We perfectly synced up?
We got to be within a few seconds.
Okay. All right. Zebra's holding up the one at Fifth Third Arena. You can hear pins drop. Coach Broadbeck is up in 235 right now with a Foster's in his right hand, a 32-ounce Foster's. Arms in his hands, or eyes in his hands. Day, free throw. Rainbow, missed it. Oklahoma State's got it. Foul, 2.1 to go. Oklahoma State's going to the free throw line, and they're giving some of these. Oklahoma State walks into Fifth Third Arena, and they get to do some of these. I'm angry, and I got to take it out on someone. And if you guys don't want me to take it out on Wes Miller, we'll take it out on John Cunningham. But someone is getting the blame for this game because Cincinnati has now made it 2-5 at home in the Big 12 if they don't win this game. They'd be 2-5 at Fifth Third Arena. And not exactly losing to juggernauts. Texas.
Well, they're going to have to shoot a 70-footer even if they give them a chance by missing one of these. So, my God.
We'll go viral if they hit the full quarter, that's for sure. I'll dump a beer on my head. First one is good. And Oklahoma State can seal it with a free throw right here. I mean, if you're cool with it, we could just go bagpipes 20 minutes. I'll stand up. We'll just have our backgrounds in the bagpipes. I mean, we're showmen, so we'll do it. It's over. Oklahoma State 80, Cincinnati 76. That's now 3 straight seasons where Cincinnati does not have a serious basketball team. Wes Miller, John Cunningham, I don't know. I'm going to say some things that I'm going to regret, but I don't give a shit. Let's do a show, Houdini. Let's do a show. Win or lose, we do these things. All righty. Welcome into Chatterbox Bearcats, everyone. And you know what's going on. I hate to do it, but we're going to do it. The Cincinnati Bearcats had a pretty good season. No, they didn't. It's over. What's the date today? Wednesday, February 21st. Wednesday, February 21st. I remember a time in my life where March was fun. You know, the groundhog poked his head out of the ground and he said, Cincinnati and the tournament's right around the corner. And I said, hooray. You know what we get nowadays? We get seasons ended by February 21st consistently. It's year 3 of Wes Miller, and Cincinnati just lost to Oklahoma State, the net 111th team in the country at Fifth Third Arena. The Bearcats are 2-5 at Fifth Third Arena. They dropped to 5-8 in the Big 12 Conference, and most notably, that's it, Houdini. That was a must-win game. You lost it. Losses to West Virginia and Oklahoma State at home on your resume. It's over. Bearcats got to win the Big 12 tournament or they're done.
Well, I mean, technically, we got, TCU and Houston on the road.
They're not beating Houston on the road. They can't even freaking beat Oklahoma State. This team is not a serious basketball team. They're not a serious basketball team. They can hang around. They're not good. It's fair enough to say they're not good.
Yeah, I mean, they're average. They're looking very NIT-ish, to say the least. We needed these 2 games. It was UCF, which you thought was going to be the more difficult one. But I guess home court advantage to this team means absolutely nothing. We look awful at home. I don't understand. They came out same thing. Like, I don't know if it's a hangover from the Saturday games or what, but they look dead coming out. Terrible start again. West went small, stuck kind of with the hot lineup. They look terrible, turning the ball over to start. Oklahoma State was knocking out shots, but unacceptable, man. You can't lose this game. It's the worst team in the Big 12. We lost to them and West Virginia. Come on.
Dan Skillings turned it over 4 times. Simas Lukosius turned it over 4 times. That led the way for Cincinnati. Lukosius added in 17 points. Dan Skillings, meanwhile, went 3 of 10, 1 of 3 from 3. In our last show, we finally proclaimed that Dan Skillings is the Bearcats' best player, and he comes out and plays like he did today. Not good basketball. You know who we said earlier in the year was Cincinnati's best player? Maybe not best this second, but most talented player and the biggest ceiling. It's Jizzle James. What did he do? He was 5 of 7, had 11 points, put Cincinnati ahead 54-50 when he sparked an 8-0 run by himself, 3 buckets and an assist to Aziz, who flushed it home. And what does Wes Miller do? Mr. Genius. One of the most successful coaches under 40, and I get it. Wes is our guy. I'm not giving up on him. I yell because I care. I'm pissed off. He took Jizzle out. And what happened from there? Oklahoma State took control again. I'm not a basketball coach. I'm not a rocket scientist. Hell, I'm not a lot of things. One thing that I am is a believer in Jizzle James. What are we doing, man? What are we doing taking our best players out of the game?
I really don't understand. He's been doing it all year, though. He did it BYU, Jizzle James, single-handedly when we first figured out, hey, we might have something on our hands here. He single-handedly took the lead against that BYU team, and then he proceeded to sit him for the rest of the game. No idea why. But now we've seen enough that that's not a fluke. Jizzle James, when he's on, man, he could be our best player. He gets great mid-range jumpers. He attacks the rim. He's calm with the ball. Why are we taking him out of the basketball game? I don't understand it. I think Kirby was saying he played 6 minutes in the second half, man. He was 5 of 7 from the field with 11 points. And he plays 6 minutes in the second half. I mean, that's your game right there. It's not rocket. Like you said, you don't have to be a rocket scientist, Chuck. You could be a random idiot sitting on his couch and figure that one out.
It's exactly what we are, except we're not sitting on our couch. We're doing a post-game show for the bunches on YouTube. And to those of you that have tuned into the show tonight, you're the real ones, the diehard Bearcats fans. We'll try to do it. I'm not going to cue up the violin today. I'm not going to cue up the bagpipes. We've done it enough. Bearcats in football and basketball have yet to have a 2-game winning streak. They're throwing peanuts onto the court because they're pissed off. I mean, I don't have much to say, man. This was a 10-point spread. If you bet on the Bearcats today, -10, congratulations. You're a doofus. You're an absolute doofus. Bearcats haven't ran away from anyone this season. You knew the nitroglycerin pills were coming out again. It was going to go down to the stretch. It did. Cincinnati hit some big shots late. A Lukosius 3 to bring it down to 3 points, but too little, too late, and Cincinnati's not going to make the tournament. I know you can say, oh, but we got Houston, we got TC. It's over. It's over, everyone. It's February 21st, and the Cats are done. And I hope you clip this up when the Bearcats rattle off 7 in a row and are the darlings of the NCAA tournament. I'll say it again. It's over. It's over, folks.
Yeah, well, I don't know if you noticed, my computer froze for the last 45 seconds. I don't know what type of beautiful monologue you put together, but I assume I came back to you roasting anybody who took UC -10, which I'd have to agree. Somebody asked me that today at work. They're like, UC -10. I'm like, it's so dumb that it's smart. I'm like, you have to hammer that. So sorry to you, brother. I lost him some serious money. But you're right. We finally, I think, dug our grave. I think Joe Lunardi finally wins this battle, unless we go on a miracle run, which we apparently like to play on the road, man. I don't know what's going on, what Wes is doing with the guys pregame or what, but it looks abysmal, man. And no Victor Locken again. I mean, hell, this could have been a game maybe we could have used him at this point. But I don't know. What were your thoughts on – because I don't think offensively, what do we finish with? 76, right? That's not terrible. Our defense, OK State was hitting shots, but our defense looked like they were all over the place, getting backdoor cuts, really bad closeouts at the three-point line. jumping for balls they shouldn't be jumping for. The Aziz foul was huge on that 3. I thought defensively we shit the bed, really. It's kind of the first this year.
No, offense was fine. 50% from the floor, Bearcats shot it. 3-pointers, never good. 5 of 17 for 29%. They out-rebound Oklahoma State 32-26. They turned it over 14 times. Oklahoma State turned it over 13. So in that regard, pretty even. The difference is, Oklahoma State shot at 55% from the floor. Everything was easy for them. Getting good looks by the bucket, finishing. There were a few plays in the game where Oklahoma State was in the middle of the paint, and I think it was Dan Skillings was defending both times. He just kind of slapped at the ball and walked away, and they just stared at the basket. They're like, oh, you're going to give me this lane? And just went up and dunked it real quick. Where's the defensive pressure? It wasn't there. Oklahoma State from 3 was 7 of 17 for 41%, and then from the free throw line, they killed us. 13 of 14 for 92%, and that is how you lose to the worst team in the Big 12. But, hey, Cincinnati's one of the worst teams in the Big 12. And saying that, I know it's year 1. I know it's year 3 of Wes Miller, and he inherited a really tough situation. But 2-5 at home, I don't care what conference you're in. This is a proud program. The day that we start accepting this shit, the day that we start accepting losing to 4-8 teams at home and losing to pretty much everyone we play at home, and losing rivalry games every single season, and letting Dayton come into Cincinnati and have more fans at the Heritage Shitbank Arena and all that stuff that has gone on this season, the day that it comes to that point and people are fine with it is the day that I can't do it anymore. So you better not be fine with it right now, Houdini. I mean, I don't want to say Wes Miller's on the hot seat. There's still a lot of season left for him to turn this thing around and have some faith heading into next year. But this isn't a talent issue. This team has talent. For anyone saying, oh, but Tyler Betsy's coming in and we got McKinley, they're freshmen. This is the team right here. We got talent. It's a nice mix of youth, of grad transfers, of guys that have been in the program for multiple years. They run 10 deep. Talent is not the issue. What is the damn issue? Because something needs to be figured out, because it's February 21st. The season is now over. I'm going to go to the Cayman Islands and sip on a pina colada and not watch the Bearcats moving forward this season, although we got to do all these post-game shows. But, the rant's done, man. I don't even feel the need to rant about this team anymore. They don't deserve my voice.
Chuck, beautifully put. Yeah, just start coming into the post-game shows completely blind. Just don't watch it and just go off my reaction and then run with it from there. If you're really going to just put down the Bearcats for the rest of the year. I need the Bearcats in the dance, so I'm just going to keep praying and hoping that they figure this thing out. But you're right. It's unacceptable, especially in the, we're not expecting West to go into a Houston or, a Texas Tech, on the road, Oklahoma. When you're in your own house, you got to protect the floor, man. That's like day one stuff, and we are lifeless in this arena, man. I can't figure it out. I would love to see statistically, because the spreads like we had today. Vegas still hasn't figured out that we can't play at home. They're still favoring us in every damn game, and we lose every time. It's dumbfounding. I don't know. I'm sure Wes is going to have his, like I said, the guy could be a state senator. He's going to be at the presser right now, probably like, I freaking hate to lose, man. Every one of those kids in there, they freaking hate to lose. And I don't know what to say about it. We got to figure something. He's going to fire everybody up like he always does. But at some point, you got to turn these nice pressers into W's. Because we got, 5 games left, I think? And we're not going to be favored in many of them, if any. I think maybe Kansas State and West Virginia, maybe the only 2 games we'll be favored in. So it could get ugly down the stretch. So we got to right the ship, figure something out. And I think we need, to your point, some grad transfers, maybe a more sure-handed point guard, even though Jizzle James could probably take the reins next year completely.
It's pretty simple, Houdini. It's pretty
much.
simple. I mean, yes, we would love a sure-handed point guard, but Jizzle James is your point guard. I've been saying it all year. This show has been the biggest pro Jizzle James podcast from day one. And consistently, he's not in the game when it matters, late. And I know you could say defensively, whatever. I'm watching Jizzle on the ball defensively. I'm watching his help side defense. I already think he's a damn good defender. Like, what are we missing here?
I mean, Wes sticks with his guys. He likes to stick with the older guys, clearly. But I mean, it is still a young roster, so like the future's still bright. If Skillings could take a leap, I've been saying it for the last
I'm very
few
reactionary.
games.
I'm like the old seesaw. The Cats are going to be fine. But I said that last year, so they got to start winning some of these games.
They're young, Chuck. We're still young, but you're right. We can't just accept mediocrity. Okay. We can't just accept.
We're not that young.
2-5
We're not that young, though. That is the issue. If they were a very young team, like when Cronin year 3 came out, and he's like, look, we're the youngest team in America. And Sean Miller on the other side's like, oh, Mick Cronin's in year 4, and he's still complaining about having the youngest team in America. I guess they're always going to be young. Like, this team has Odie Oguama, who is now like a fifth year. And granted, you say, well, Odie doesn't play that much. Guess what? In today's day and age, you could bring in grad transfers. That's a scholarship that he decided to use on someone that could have, that scholarship could have gone to someone that helped you out a little bit more. He's old. Victor Locken's been in the program for 4 years. John Newman's been in college basketball for 5 years. C.J. Frederick's been in basketball for 5 years. Aziz has been in basketball for 4 years. Jamil Reynolds he's been at 3 universities. Like, at a certain point, that's 7 guys I just named that play significant minutes. This team's not frickin' young. Like, let's not use that as an excuse. This team's just not good. They're electric, absolutely. They show flashes of being good, but when it comes down to it, you give up 55%. It may have even been worse. 55.6% from the floor to Oklahoma State, who puts up 80 on you and drops you to 2-5 in your home gymnasium. Unacceptable, Houdini. I don't want you making excuses. We're going after Cunningham.
When I say young, I saw Cunningham. He's shook his hand, actually. I said, big fan of what you're doing here, John. As far as the youngness, you're right. Technically, there's a ton of juniors on this roster, and they bounced around a ton. Have they played together? No. And that's just the reality of college basketball. You just show up to a new school apparently every year and start playing. But our core guys are all coming back next year, is my point. And Jizzle James and Dan Skillings being the main 2 guys that I'm referring to, those 2 guys being your best players and they're that young is a good sign. And that could change. Those guys could transfer. Some guy could drop Nate Oates could come with a bag over to Jizzle James, and next thing you know, he's playing in Alabama. We don't know. But right now, those 2 guys as like a core 2 moving on after this year, if we can't figure this thing out, at least you can see where we're heading, right? And at some point, you got to come to fruition on that. But the silver lining, I guess, Chuck, is ESPN Plus righted their wrong. And they got Edgerrin James, the real Edgerrin James, on camera today. So at least
they made
a
note.
That, okay? I can sleep easy.
And they made a note. They said that is the real Edgerrin James. That's how you do it. They honestly should have put up the picture, had it pre-produced, and been like, here's what we did. An egregious mistake. We showed this guy as Edgerrin James. That is not Edgerrin James. They should have had it all planned out. An interview with the fake guy about, his talks with the in-laws after being compared to an NFL Hall of Famer on a live broadcast to the thousands that were streaming that game. And they did not do that. They just showed Edgerrin a few times after Jizzle kept making buckets.
They should have just continued to act like he was Edgerrin James for the rest of the year. Had him do like a halftime interview with Kelsey Conway asking about how it was playing with Peyton Manning, things like that, and just took the gag all throughout the season. Because what else do we have to play for at this point, Chuck?
Kelsey Conway's OOC only. I haven't seen her during the Big 12. Different broadcast.
You're right.
C.J. Frederick, who was such a talking point at the beginning of the season, giving the Cats a sure-handed shooter. He is a sure-handed shooter. One of the best there is. And he would be crucial down the stretch with free throws, things like that. But when it comes to getting off volume, it's not happening. Takes one shot again in this game. It was a very rushed three-pointer that he missed. Had 1 assist. Aside from that, a goose egg across the box score again. We were begging for a dead-eye shooter. And after we finally get our dead-eye shooter, I'm begging for a dead-eye shooter off the dribble. And that may be Jizzle James moving forward, because that step back, he's 50% on that 18-foot step back. But when it comes to a three-point shooter, Simas can hit him, off the dribble. He can hit them off balance a little bit. Skillings occasionally. But aside from that, everyone's got to be set. Frederick especially. Josh Reed, he's got to be set whenever he's taking a shot. You know, he's not shooting anything off the dribble, creating his own shot. He did play well today, Josh Reed did, though.
Man.
Reed played pretty good. He had 6 points in the game, 3 rebounds, and plays really good defensively. But John Newman, another name that we haven't talked about in a minute. He had 7 points in the game, 4 rebounds, a couple of blocks. I wish he would get a little more aggressive and take the ball to the bucket, because at times when he does, he's able to get some good looks. But he vanishes offensively, and today I guess he wasn't good enough defensively either, because that's what hurts the Bearcats in the end, dooms them.
He was getting blown off the dribble a few different possessions. They were killing us off the dribble. Inside, they were killing us. Yeah, they just offensively kind of took control of the game, which you don't typically see with us. But you're right. Newman, it almost half the time you forgot he was out there. Usually, even if he's not shooting well, he's kind of all over the place. He still had, he played solid. He had, 3 of 5, 7 points. CMOS, you got to give him credit. 17 points, 7 of 14. Efficiency. But where we were lacking was really that Dan Skillings. 3 of 10. Granted, did have 10 boards, 9 points. Even when he plays bad, he still lights up a stat line. So just a tough loss all around, man, because there's not anybody you can really point at like, hey, that guy just sucked the entire game or anything like that, or some egregious mistakes. Just an overall effort that wasn't quite good enough. And, hey, newsflash, you got to be good enough to beat Oklahoma State if you want to be a real team in the tournament. I mean, come on.
Serious basketball teams win this game. It's as simple as that. And Cincinnati has proved
we are so unserious
over the last 4 years, 5 years really, that they're not a serious basketball team. They lose games like this at home when they're 10-point favorites. And equally as egregious as I can't get over it, is you and a few other people in the chat room saying this team is young. I didn't even mention CMOS. That makes 8. CMOS has years of experience in the Big East. This team is not young. This team should be ready to go. Will they be next year? Add in 2 players, 3 players, whatever it is. Maybe so. Wes is going to get another year at the very least, just because of the way he's been recruiting, the way he's been retaining his players in this day and age, the way that he's packed the arena, brought the excitement back. I think the way that this year he's established an identity, and you see that his teams play hard, they're physical, they're tough, they get rebounds. Typically they defend well, not today. I think that has a lot of fans excited for the future. But right now, in this current moment, is the Bearcats have lost another one at Fifth Third Arena. Someone's got to answer questions here. Someone has to answer questions on why this is happening, because this is a proud program. 290s, guys. We grew up a lot of success. And then Mick brought it back, and it's been gone for a while now. This is a very mid-basketball team that, I hate to say it again, I'm going to say it, unserious. They're just unserious. They're not contenders.
The sky's not falling. I'm not ready to jump ship. I still think
it is
Chicken
Little.
It's
fallen. It's over. It's over.
Sky's falling. Call the cops. Season's over. Oh my God! Fire! Sound the alarms, everybody. No, everybody relax. We still
relax, Houdini. You're too damn positive. This is the big J in you. You're too damn positive. You're doing what Brendel's doing over at Bearcat Journal. Oh, everyone hold the course. We're gonna be all right. We stink. We stink. They can't win basketball games. It's as simple as that, man. They're not good. And I don't know why, because they have talent. They have freaking 3 7-footers.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we can get into the 7-footers if we want to. Aziz is a 0 on offense. That's not what he expected. I don't know what the hell that alley-oop they had to him. I didn't think it was that high. He could have at least attempted to grab the ball. I don't know if the Skillings one is a random possession. Well, it was actually very critical. But, yeah, I don't think the sky's falling. I think we're heading in the right direction. First year of the Big 12. We've had some great games. We've had some very, very bad games, this being included. I still got faith in my guy, Wes. We need a go-to guy, and it's hard to win games in this league if you don't have a go-to guy, right? Every night it's a different person. When Skillings goes 3 of 10, I'd love if he was putting up 15 points, 15 to 20 every night. We're not seeing that, and we need one of those guys in this league. Jizzle James might be that guy next year. Should Jizzle, at a minimum, play more than 6 minutes in the second half? I'd like to hear an answer from Wes Miller on that. Because I think anybody who watches basketball for 2 seconds can say that kid should have been in the end of the game, but he wasn't.
It's idiotic, and it should be the first thing brought up in the press conference. Alex Frank, if you're listening to the show right now, and someone, if you know Alex Frank, text him. In the presser, ask Wes the hard-hitting question. This is what you do as our correspondent. Ask Wes Miller, first question, why the hell isn't Jizzle James in the game down the stretch, Coach? Had that 8-0 run that put you up 54-50, you give him the nugget, and then you say you immediately took him out of the game and never put him back in. And if he did, it was for seconds. Why? I just want the answer. And if he says, it's because we think Day-Day's such a better defender, you gave up 80 points. I don't know what to tell you at the end of the day. But you're right. Bearcats don't have that go-to scorer yet. They do have some nice players, though, man. Seamoss has played great basketball lately. 50% from the floor, the 17 points. Bandego, such a presence down low. He had 2 more blocks today. As a team, Cincinnati had 6 blocks. Day-Day Thomas in transition, throws down the dunk of the year, posterizes someone's face. Jizzle, the Jizz Man, with a couple awesome step backs in the game. Jamyron Reynolds with some powerful plays. This team's fun to watch until the last few minutes of the game when it's like a 4-point game, you're down. The Bearcats consistently hit some big shots to keep it close, but in the back of your mind, you're like, we're going to lose this game. And it happened again.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't even your typical scenario where you're worried that we can't get a bucket. It was like, I don't think we could stop them. And we couldn't. They just kept scoring and scoring and scoring. So it was a little bit different than we've typically seen. But still, nonetheless, it's an L. And yes, Alex Wallace, I do have a press pass. So maybe I will ask Wes Miller myself. I've been trying to stay away because every game I go to, we lose. Apparently, it doesn't matter where I am. Maybe I need to leave the state or something.
You could do that. I mean, you did leave the state. You live in Covington. Technically, you are out of state. Bearcats have not won back-to-back games since league play started. No way this team is closing it out. That comes from John White, 17. They better close it out, give us some faith, and not finish, last place or second to last place in the Big 12. I will say this, because someone else brought this up in the chat room earlier. Had Cincinnati not beaten BYU and Texas Tech on the road and TCU in that overtime game, had they lost all these games, this is kind of what we expected, right? Going into the year, I think most people thought that Cincinnati was going to be in that bottom quadrant of teams in the Big 12. But when you win those games, and then the fans start packing up the arena and you're starting to sell out games and the hype is back, and then you start losing to Oklahoma State. Like, how do you go on the road and beat Texas Tech but lose to Oklahoma State in your home arena when you shoot at 50%? I don't know. That's what we need answers for. Still believe. I'll have faith in Wes until the day that he's fired, if he's fired. He may just end his career here and have a statue. But right now it's not looking great because we're in year 3. I'll say it once more. It's February 21st, and the season is, we won't go sky is falling. The season is probably over, but we're still going to watch. Maybe they win at TCU. Then they win at Houston, and they take care of business against West Virginia and Kansas State, and that gets us our 9. That would get us into the tournament. But if you can't beat Oklahoma State at home, how are you going to beat Houston in Houston? That's my final thought.
You're exactly right, man. I don't know how we can expect those wins, but again, I don't know how you lose to Oklahoma State at home, but beat Texas Tech on the road, beat BYU on the road. No idea. This team doesn't make a ton of sense. They're playing hard. They're fighting out there. Maybe we go on a little run, man. Screw it. Let's go on a little run. Let's make the dance. But yeah, let's not skip over. This is an atrocious loss in general for West, for the program. Can't have it. We started the year by not losing any of these bullshit games. We had so many opportunities to lose, and we kept beating the teams we were supposed to. And now it seems like it's flipped completely, and we're losing these gimmies.
Well, let's go back to the beginning of the year and take a trip down memory lane and talk about Howard. Imagine if the Bearcats had lost Howard, compounding onto the resume right now.
Ooh.
Imagine had they not beaten TCU at home, because that was a BS win. Remember, TCU had to, miss the front end of a 1-1 to lose that game. So there's 2 games, but at the same time, you could turn around and say, what if Texas? What if Baylor? What if
the other? Yeah.
Yeah, you could flip it the other way. At the end of the day, all you can do is look at that record at home. And I've said it way too many times this show, 2-5 in the Big 12. This is a program that just always won home games. It's what we expected. Conference USA and the American is not the Big 12. But Cincinnati was taking down UConn. They were taking down Louisville. They were taking down, go back to the Big East. They'd beat the Pittsburghs and the Georgetowns and the Villanovas. Like, Cats would win those games. They're not winning them anymore at home. And it's tough. It's tough as an emotional fan base. When you pack your ass into Fifth Third Arena, you buy yourself 7 cheese conies. All you want in life is a win over the Cowboys, and you can't even get it. That march music that's so beautiful to our ears. One of the only things in life that they're not changing, They're changing the Monday Night Football song. They're changing actually, I don't think they've changed that. But everything's changing. Wrappers on food, changing. Recipes, changing. Chipotle. It's not the same, man. That steak doesn't taste the same that it did in 2006. You know what sounds the same that it did in 2006? That beautiful march music. And unfortunately, we're only going to be playing it if the Cats win some big-time games on the road. But the road is there. We'll still watch. We'll do these post-game shows, win or lose. Unfortunately, though, when Cincinnati does lose the game, we don't get any of these. And as much as I would love to play it nonstop, we're not going to be hearing that sound probably until the Bearcats make a run to the semifinals of the Big 12 tournament. Instead, it's going to be this to round out the show once again. Houdini, final word for me and for the chat room as we call it a wrap. Bearcats lose 80-76.
Will you remember me? Don't let your life pass you by.
We're not done yet. I said final words. Do you have anything for me? You're just
said your
soaking it in.
final words. I thought you were just trying to go on a monologue. I got nothing, man. We got to figure it the hell out. Those are my final words. Figure it out.
We will remember you, Bearcats. It's not done yet. Figure it out. Let's get fired up. TCU on Saturday is next up for the Cincinnati Bearcats. A chance for a really big win and one that Cincinnati could pull out. They already beat them. That's a 3 o'clock game. It's on ESPN Plus. Enough of these ESPN Plus games. That's life. When you're not winning games, you play games on the old Plus. Bearcats and TCU on Saturday. Bearcats fall to 16-10, 5-8 in the Big 12 Conference. See you, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you on Saturday. Hopefully it'll be a brighter mood. Remember, I yell because I care. I'm reactionary. That is why we have Houdini on the show. He's the wise man with the wise words that says, the sky is not falling. The sky is not falling. Just remember that, everyone.